All right, we are going to be doing some colored pencil techniques. We're going to do all of these different ones right here that you see. So we're going to start off at the top. You are going to need to write colored, C-O-L-O-R-E-D, pencil, P-E-N-C-I-L, techniques, T-E-C-H-N-I-Q-U-E-S. You're going to then need to put your name and your class period. So if you're in period 1, just do a P1, right? So this is what we're going to need to do. Now, we're going to be starting off with right here, a little square. It's smaller than my fingernail, so that's important to know. And we're going to write light pressure, L-I-G-H-T, P-R-E-S-S-U-R-E. There's that one. Then we're going to move on to another box. It's going to be medium pressure, M-E-D-I-U-M. And back to pressure, P-R-E-S-S-U-R-E. Next one is going to be hard pressure, H-A-R-D, P-R-E-S-S-U-R-E. Please note you can slow this down at any time if I'm going too fast. And then this last one right here is what I like to call death grip, D-E-A-T-H-G-R-I-P. So I want you to get a color that's not super light or anything else like that. You want to have something that is pretty visible. So when we're talking about light pressure, sometimes the position of your hand can make a huge difference. If you hold your pencil at the end and you press down, you are actually unable to put quite as much pressure here on the lead as if you were holding it closer. So there we go, light pressure. If we move it here to the middle, same amount of pressure. I'm going to go over it just a little bit more. You get medium. If I squeeze it down here, impart the same amount of pressure, it gets a little bit darker, right? Now, if I go here, this is what I see a lot of you, and you all white knuckle, you squeeze it so tight and press as hard as possible. That is how you're going to get your death grip. These aren't showing up as well. I probably should have chosen a better color to show up better, so I apologize for that. All right, so there's that. Now we're going to actually use one of our tools. In the classroom, I have these 3D printed stencils, circle stencils that I made. This here is the 54. I know it didn't print out very well, but that's okay. We're going to start off by doing 2 circles right next to each other. We are going to label this one smooth, S-M-O-O-T-H. And this one here is going to be gradient and value, G-R-A-D-I-E-N-T/value, V-A-L-U-E. These are going to be the 2 major things that you will use for everything. Even if you have a different way of using colored pencils, I would like you to start off by trying what I'm asking you to try. For coloring smooth, what I'm looking for is I do not want to see you doing something like this. That is, well, it's a scribble, and we don't want to scribble. And also your marks are really far and it leaves a lot of white paper. If you actually go and do small circles, so it's just a circle motion, but you go small, you will actually be able to fill in your area with practice fairly quickly and get a fairly nice, even coloring over the whole thing. So it is a good idea to try and do this because you can go fairly quickly with your coloring. And it gives you a nice, smooth, even coating. This is going to be your absolute bare minimum that I expect for any of your coloring in my class. Note, my circles are not extremely big. They're actually pretty small. That means I have more area that I am quickly covering, even though it doesn't feel like it at first. This is one way that you will get going really quick. And you'll get to go at a speed about like I do. And you will have fairly even coverage. There are other ways to smooth these out, but this is going to be just our most basic bare minimum, simplest, what we're looking for, coloring of this. Note, I kind of use something like medium pressure so that we have a nice even coating. There's that one. Now, when it comes to doing the gradient value, we are looking to do pretty much the exact same thing over the whole thing. And like I said, please try this first. If you don't like it, that's fine, but maybe you learned something from it that you'll be able to pull away and use in some other area of your art skills. Every time we try something new that someone else has done, maybe we learn something new. I don't know. It's possible. I like to think I learn every single time I pick up a pencil, but that's just me. So again, as you can see, I am going here and I am coloring over the whole thing with a nice, smooth texture. And I am going with the whole thing, because what I can do then is I can come over here to this side, and I'm going to start off with a much heavier pressure. And I am then going to build my way over here and eventually start easing up on that pressure so that it becomes a nice, smooth transition between darker to lighter. Beautiful thing about colored pencils is the fact that we can layer them up and you get all sorts of beautiful depth with them. Gradient is a really great technique to use and allows you to have really pretty a really pretty look to your coloring. These are things that you can apply to any kind of coloring that you do. So this here gives you a nice one. So there is our gradient value. We're going to use our circle stencil again, and we're going to make 3 more circles. Usually you should want to do these in pencil. I do the pen so that it shows up really, really well. You'll have to ask me for the paper if you missed it and you need this. We're going to go here, and it's going to be a 2-color blend. And then this one here is going to be a 3-color blend. And this one here is going to say hatching. H-A-T-C-H-I-N-G. No, we are not little chickens or ducks hatching. This is a technical term that is, I know it most oftenly from printmaking, and it is a really good technique to have. Works really, really well with things. So we're going to go ahead and just use that. It looks really good at the end. If I need to test colors, then I'm going to go down here. Sorry, that was a jump in topic there. I'm going to use this purple and this blue. What I was saying though is hatching is a really cool technique that is used. It's created with printmaking, I believe, and is commonly used in pencil and pen and ink techniques. It looks really, really good. You can use it on a lot of different things. So for a 2-color blend, we're going to start over here, and we're going to start with kind of a medium pressure, and we're going to go about halfway across our circle here. These are large areas. You probably don't always use such a large area when you're coloring in, but I wanted you to practice in a larger area. So here we are. I'm going a little bit lighter. Again, doing that circular motion. I'm not going to quite be even there. And we have that. So there is my first layer. I'm going to pick up my next one, and I'm going to go over that color a little bit with really light pressure. And then I'm going to start increasing my pressure over here. I love colored pencils for all their layering capabilities. You can do a lot of really incredible things with them. They're a pretty versatile tool. I'll show you ways to get them to be richer and everything else. You can actually do quite a bit of blending even if it's not really expensive ones. These ones I don't know. I think these ones are Kalour, K-A-L-O-U-R. All right, so I've gotten my two colors. I'm going to go back over and do another layer. By going over and doing another layer, I am enriching my layers, and I like to actually go all the way over. Yes, it does take a little bit of time, but it also improves the look of my work. At least I feel so. I could be wrong. You may have a different way of doing it, but I really do like that extra depth and richness that is created when I go over the whole thing. If I need to go a little bit darker, I can go back in and go even a little bit more. But you can really build up your layers here and create something beautiful. So there's those two color blends. Really, really nice. I am actually going to go in here with my next blend. We're going to do an orange, a Merlot, and then I'm looking for my red. Here it is. Here's my red. Having a pencil sharpener is great. Every once in a while you might need to sharpen your pencils just to get lead a little bit further out so that you have it. I don't know if I ever really get it really, really sharp, but I get it so that it's sharp enough that I can use. So when we're thinking about this, we want to divide it into thirds. So here I make little tick marks so I know about where I'm going. I'm going to start with my lightest color. You really want to pick colors that are similar to each other, which is why I have all these warm tones. Pink and green do not blend well together. They're kind of opposites because red is the opposite of green. So try to stay away from those things. Yellow goes better next to a lime green. It also goes well next to a light pink, so you can do that too. So here I am. I've got my medium, and then I'm going to start going with my lighter pressure here. Now that I have that there, I'm going to pick up my next color, which is my red. It's my medium tone. Go a little bit over my orange so that I can have that extra depth in there, and I'm blending the two colors together. And then I go in with a little bit more pressure here and all that good stuff. And again, start lightening up on this side so that I can have a lighter area that I'll be blending over with the next color. So definitely taking my time. And it's just kind of a light medium layer at first. I'm not going for anything super, super dark. Here's my Merlot. I'm going to go over the red just a little bit. Again, just constantly going in these circular motions. I didn't pick a really bluish purple. I picked a kind of a reddish tone purple, so it's kind of like a dark red here, but it's got a little bit of blue tone to it, not much. So right here and now, I have three colors that are kind of blending into each other. I'm going to take my orange. I'm going to go a little bit darker and blend it over my red a little bit, just to get a little bit richer depth. I think it looks really good. I think it adds an extra dimension to the color. So depth, dimension, however you want to say it. Go over with the red, just a little bit more. Go down into my purple there. I'm not going evenly because I kind of don't want to have just exact stripes. Just kind of going back and forth, building up my layers. It looks good at the end. So that's how I like it. Now, not all of us can have really, really nice colored pencils. You can do this with Crayola and a couple others. They don't always give as many layers, but they do give you a lot. So you just have to learn to work with them. But one of the things you can do to improve this is you can use white to smooth out a lot of these. So I'm going to go here, and I'm using pretty hard pressure. I'm not using death grip. I try to stay away from death grip as much as possible. But I am smoothing this out. The white does make it slightly lighter, but we're going to adjust for that in just a moment. By going here and getting my layer. So as you can see here, especially here in the orange, See that smoothed outness? I'm actually going to go back over that white with my orange again, and I am not putting a huge amount of pressure. In fact, less pressure than I was actually just doing with the white. But already my color is so much deeper. It's so much more vibrant. Just going over and getting that build up there. It looks so much nicer. I've said so a little too many times there, but that's okay. I like how this looks, giving me that extra bit there to push it up to a whole new level in my coloring. You do not have to do this. This is an extra step. I encourage you to try it so that you get something a little bit more beautiful out of it. But you can see the difference here. This is with the white and then the colors going back over. This is just the colors. To me, this looks so much nicer. But again, that is just my personal preference. If you are a student that takes a really long time to do something, I would not suggest going over it with this and leaving it for later. If you have time to go back at another time, that's great. But in the meantime, don't worry about it. Hatching. This is a project. This is a technique that we need for stuff. So I have 3 lines that I'm going to be drawing here. I'm getting them fairly dark, so it's kind of my death grip coloration. And then I'm making sure that I have a pretty sharpened pencil. Hatching, you can do it over large areas, and this is just simple one we're doing. I'm going to rotate my paper, and I'm going to zoom in so you can see how close we are. I want to be very close with my lines. I want to have pretty hard pressure here so that I can have nice dark lines that show up. What I'm doing here also as I'm going along is I am rotating the pencil as I'm drawing. See, it starts to get fatter there. So then I rotate it and find that sharp edge of my pencil lead, and then I can keep on going. Because sometimes it gets fat and then blurs together really, really badly. And I don't want to always do that. I want to have something there. Sorry, that's better focus there. I apologize. All right, here we go. Keep going. I want you to do this. I want your lines to be nice and close together. It looks nicer at the end. We don't need large gaps, so that's going to be really important. The next thing that we're going to do is, in my assignments, it is very rare that I say leave white, so I want no white paper. So I am going to take my pencil, now that I have this, because there's all that white paper behind it, and very lightly color behind it. You can do this with another color, a different blue or a purple or whatever you want, just to add that extra depth. Again, there we go, depth, finishing. It's kind of like you go and do something and then you stop at 80% and say, okay, I'm done, but this here is where you get it to the end and make it look really good. That is what this kind of technique does. It elevates your artwork just a little bit more from the elementary work that you might have done. Some of you may have done extra stuff like this before. Kudos to you. But there it is. It's a whole area that it has no white paper and a little bit more depth. Next, we're going to add another 3 circles. So here we are. We're going with this one, again, using the 54 millimeter. Let me move this camera over just a little bit so it's easier to draw. So here we are. We've got 1, 2, 3. As we're doing this, this is what we're gonna label cross hatching, CROSSATCHING. These are very simple things that we're doing because of the projects we have, and they're what I expect them to look like. Then we have 3 color scumbling, SCUMBLING. Three-color scumbling is a fun technique that we're going to get to in just a moment. So here we are going to do cross-hatching. Now for this, I expect you to do a little bit more because we want to see what it looks like in a area where it actually has a little bit more detail to it. So we're going to make at least, my pencil lead I think is going to die here. I want at least 13 lines going across. I'm just drawing them down. Oh, see, I knew it was going to break. Sorry about that. Okay, hopefully we'll get a lead here. It's not going to constantly break. Sometimes this happens, and do we know why? It is because we probably dropped the pencil. Dropping the pencil is no fun. It creates breaks in the lead because unlike your regular 2B HB pencil, the lead in a colored pencil is not glued into the wood. Instead, it is laid in there nicely, which is why it breaks all the time. Alright, so hopefully we have 13 there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I got 15. I'm going to rotate my paper and do the same thing again. The closer I make my lines, the nicer the cross-hatching looks. There are definitely other ways to do cross-hatching. This just kind of is the checkerboard, filling an area pattern that does look really good. Pen and ink has some very different techniques that look amazing when we do them. So we'll talk about those later on. Here I am. I'm going to go with a lime green behind it because I just think it looks pretty. And doing a light coloring because we don't want any white paper behind this. It looks really interesting. I like how it looks, these bright colors and all this good stuff, because it gives me something interesting to look at visually. And I like having visual appeal when I am doing stuff. Visual appeal makes art more interesting. It also challenges you. You kind of want to challenge yourself sometimes. So this here is a very basic. We got to use it for a couple of our projects. So that'll be good. All right, let's talk about a three-color scumbling. So I'm going to go back to my orange, red, reddish purple. Scumbling. Scumbling is a technique where you are essentially scribbling. So if you do circles like this, make sure they have gaps. You can do also a figure 8. You can also do kind of any which way scribble that you kind of want, but you want those gaps in there. We're also going to use it in a gradient. So we want to have that value change. So we're going to start off with everywhere with my lightest color. I have fairly decent pressure on the pencil lead. So it's kind of like the hard pressure, not death grip, because one, I don't want to have a hand cramp, but two, I don't really need it. So there is my very first layer. I'm going to take my next color, and I'm going to leave like a dime size area in here where I do not do the red. So this is how we're going to try and create our gradient. Yes, it's scribbling and it's fun. It looks cool. It gives you a little bit of harkening back to our childhood where we're scribbling all over the place, because sometimes a scribble can be pretty important. Then we're going to go in with our last color, and we're not going to be going very far in with it, but every once in a while I kind of go in there to kind of blend it in with the others a little bit. I will be the first to admit that I absolutely love coloring with scumbling. I think it looks super, super cool and fun. I am now going to take a yellow because I like the way it'll look. And I am going to color in the whole background. So I did a 3-color scumbling, but I'm adding another color in the background because I want things to stand out a little bit. Very lightly going in and making sure there's no white paper. I think this looks really cool. You can do it with the original light color you have. So I'll do half here with the orange, and you can just see the difference between them. Just lightly going in, coloring in all those white spaces. Both. Alright, so my video recording cut off there, so I'm going to show you this one again. So I apologize. Didn't catch it fast enough. So I have 3 colors. I'm going to talk about the scumbling again. So you need 3 different scumbling. So again, starting with my lightest color, kind of filling in, going everywhere. Leaving areas on the outside. So you want to make sure that you have 2 of these done for this project, for the assignment. So there's that one. I'm going to go with my next brown. It's my medium one. Again, leaving that space in the center so that I have it. Note you can still definitely see my scribble marks. So they're open up there and leaving lots of white space. Looking good. Then we're going to come in with our darkest here on the edges. Again, just scribbles. And they're controlled scribbles. It's not just willy-nilly, whatever we want. They're actually controlled and actually have a purpose. So as I was saying with the other one that got kind of a little bit cut off there, is that once I am done with that, I want to go in with a color and just lightly color in the background, so that there is no white paper. I showed on this one here, and you can't really see it. I did half yellow and half orange so you could see the 2 differences. But this here is what you are wanting to see for your scumbling. You do need to have 2 of them, because this is one of the techniques that we are going to be using this year, and you want to have the skills in your arsenal. It also gives you something very interesting to look at. So there is everything. So there's a brown, so it would be like getting 3 blues and everything else. We have smooth, gradient value, the 2-color blend, the 3-color blend, hatching. Oh, let's get in focus. There we go. Cross hatching, 3-color scumbling, and a second 3-color scumbling. Thank you. That's what we need.